All right. Good morning, everybody. Luis Morales here, health fitness specialist with Exos at Autodesk, 11 a.m. Thursday. Good morning to all you guys that are joining me live. One of the last stretch breaks of the week, getting going here in the morning. Let's go ahead, before we get started here, go ahead and drop anything in the chat that you feel needs a little bit of extra love or a little bit of extra stretching here today. I have kind of a loose plan to address mainly kind of some spine and some hip stuff, but if there's anything, again, that you guys want to throw out there, please just drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute and say it. We got hip flexors. Hip flexors are definitely in the plan. Literally the meat and potatoes of my stretching routines, almost at all times at every single day of the week. So definitely can get some, we definitely have hip flexors on the menu here today. So, all right, guys, with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, feel free to come off mute or drop anything in the chat if you want something specific included. Again, we're doing some hips and some spine this morning. So what we're gonna do is start on the ground here today, lying on our sides. Now, feel free to kind of bring something into play if you want your head to be supported here. But what we're gonna do, start lying on our sides here, with those knees stacked up on top of each other, up around hip level, making a nice kind of 90 degrees, nice kind of box looking shape. With the head either being held up or resting on the ground or resting on a pillow, we're gonna stretch those arms out in front of us, stacked up on top of each other. We're gonna start to rotate through the middle of the spine here. So that top hand, we're gonna open up like a book here. From cover to cover, we're gonna look at that moving hand as we go. And keeping those legs in the same place. We're gonna open up as much as we comfortably can. Take a breath. Feel that stretch, keep looking at that hand, and then let's slowly start to close that book. Especially since it's the morning time and we're in our first kind of few reps here, it's gonna feel pretty stiff. A little more stiff than if we were to do, say, 10, 15 at a time, which I highly advise if you're doing this on your own time. Since we don't have all the time in the world, let's just do a few. You can kind of move through this at your own pace. We want to keep a nice, steady breathing rate as we go. Also helps to kind of pause when you're outstretched in that open book position. Take a breath. Feel how that exhale can kind of bring you to stretch a little bit further. Gravity is your friend with this one. Nicely done. All right, wherever we're at, let's do one more. Opening up all the way, keeping those legs stationary. Feeling that stretch kind of through the shoulder, maybe through the neck, maybe it's just in the back. Either way, we're just opening up that ability to rotate here today, this morning. All right, nicely done, you guys. Let's switch on over to the other side. I'm gonna turn myself around so you guys can see the front side still. Again, same setup here. Knees on top of each other, up around hip level. Head can be supported and or unsupported. Those arms stretched out, we're gonna just do the same thing. Watching that hand as we open up our book, cover to cover, now the other way. Breathing as we go, guys. Not meant to be holding the breath here. Closing that book nice and slow. Moving at our own pace. This is one too that you might hear some pops and some cracks with. That's typically all right. Good job, guys. Good job. Looking at that hand all the way. Don't lose sight of that hand. Turn your head as much as you comfortably can. All right, wherever we're at, let's start one, make this one the last one here. Opening up that ability to rotate to the other side. It's okay to have one side be stiffer than the other. That's just how we as humans tend to be. All right, you guys, good job. Way to close that book last time here. Let's go ahead and come up into a hands and knees kind of position here. Take a moment, and what we're going to do here is a little bit of child's pose. Now, before we get into it, those knees kind of a little bit wider than the hips. Instead of walking those hands all the way out forward, let's walk those hands all the way out to one side here. So I got my hands all the way walked out to the right. Now I'm going to sink my hips back all the way to the heels if I can, and kind of pull those hands into a comfortable position so we can kind of rest the face, chin, or cheek on the ground. But we should feel one side really opened up, the opposite side of which our hands are at. Once we come into a comfortable position, let's just breathe into that tension and that outstretched side there. Good, letting the rib cage expand like a big balloon. Nicely done, you guys. Breathe into that tension. One more. Nicely done. All right, you guys, slowly let's bring our heads up, rise up out of that position, walk those hands through the middle, and now on over to the other side. We're going to do the same thing here now. So bringing those hips back to try and meet the heels, pulling those hands into a comfortable position, but we still got one side pretty outstretched here now. We're just going to breathe into all those side muscles running all the way from under the shoulder down to the pelvis. Good job, you guys. Lower rib cage expanding like a balloon. Really good lat stretch going on here, guys. One more breath. Large breath here. Good. Nice slow exhale. And slowly bring ourselves up and out of that. Walk those hands back into the middle. Nicely done. Now, we can bring our bodies a little bit more upright, but we are going to be working on the ground here still. Let's come and find a nice half kneeling position. So we're going to put one knee down on the ground here, guys. Feel free to take a second, grab a pillow or whatever you need to help mediate that knee in the ground. We want that knee to be comfortable. All right, so once we're in this position, first thing we're going to do is squeeze that glute of the same side knee that's on the ground. So you might have to give it a little tap, wake that glute up, but we really want to squeeze it super, super hard. Find those abdominal muscles and then slightly push forward the hips here. And we should be able to find some tension if we keep that glute nice and squeezed, kind of keeping the pelvis posteriorly rotated. And then from here, if you want to add a little bit of something to this stretch, that same side arm, we can kind of reach up overhead while still squeezing the glute, maybe even lean away from that knee that's on the ground now. While still squeezing the glute, this will kind of exaggerate our stretch here. So let's breathe into that tension using our bellies. Good job, you guys. Good job. Keep that glute squeeze going. Don't be afraid to give it a little tap if you need to. Muscles in the brain often respond to a little bit of external tapping to activate. Nicely done. One more big breath. Beautiful. We can bring that arm down now. Release the tension, the glute, shift our weight back. And let's switch on over to the other side. So again, same kind of half kneeling position here. The other knee is down now. Let's go ahead and engage that glute first. So big squeeze, whatever side of the knee that's on the ground. Give it a little tap. Find those abdominal muscles. Then we're going to slightly push those hips forward just enough to where you have some tension. We don't want it to be a lot of tension. We don't want to be pushing the hips forward so much and then leaning back on our spines. So push the hips forward just a little bit. Then once we find that tension, we can add to it by reaching up and then maybe over away from that knee that's on the ground. So breathe into that tension once you find it. Nice work, you guys. Nice work. Preparing the hips for some hopefully more movement later today. We got exercise with Exos going on at 12. Breathe through that tension, guys. Keep that glute squeezed. One more. Nicely done. All right, now we can bring that arm down, shift our weight backwards just a little bit. We got time for one more. So let's go ahead and resume that all fours position here on the ground, guys. What we're gonna do from here now is stick one leg out, kind of like a kickstand. So what I'm gonna do here is stick my leg out. You can't really see, it might be off camera, but what I have here is my foot all the way connected to the ground, like my big toe, my little toe, my heel, all connected to the ground here with my legs straight out. And what we're going to do from here is just a little bit of rocking. So keeping that core tight, we're going to rock back, feeling some stretch on the inside of that extended leg here, that kickstand leg. And we're going to squeeze the glutes, come back forward. So let's do that a couple more times. Rock back, feel some inner thigh stretch. We're opening up that internal hip, those adductors. Squeeze the glute, come back forward. All right, you guys, one last one here on this side. Try and maintain that breathing. We shouldn't be holding the breath here. And squeeze the glute, come back forward. Nicely done, nicely done. Okay, I'm gonna turn it around. You guys can switch on over to the other side. What we're gonna do, same thing other side. Stick that leg out, make sure that foot can be nice and connected to the ground, heel, big toe, little toe. And then what we'll do, tighten up that core, resume our breathing, and just rock back and squeeze the glutes to come forward. Just want to feel a medium adductor stretch here, guys, of rocking all the way back. Kind of brings you to 8 or 9 on the intensity scale. Go ahead and ease up on yourself a little bit. Show yourself some love. Doesn't have to be that intense. All right, one final one here, guys. We're rocking back, core is tight. Feeling some stretch on the inside of that leg, foot still connected to the ground. We're squeezing the glutes, coming back forward. Nicely done. All right, guys, feel free to come into sitting, kneeling, or standing. That is all the time I have left for this stretch break here today, guys. So like I said, exercise with Exos is today at 12 noon. We got another stretch break with me at 2:30 p.m. and then abs and core / mobility with Brittany at 4:30 p.m. Don't forget, if you want to find out all the stuff or about everything that's going on with Exos and our class schedule, feel free to check out our SharePoint site. That is where you're going to find the most information. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Louise.
Thanks for coming, guys. See ya.